Hello, everybody, and welcome back. You are listening to Total West Today, myself and one of my good friends, Twil, also known as This Week in Linux, and also check him out on twildottv. Well, it's been a while since we've had a random conversation about technology and stuff, and I might just call this TosCast Conversations with Twil. Anyway, Twil, how have you been?
I have been excellent. I'm glad to be back. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you back. Okay, now I saw one of your latest videos that you uploaded. I must say you look terrific, and you went on a personal crusade to improve the quality of your life, shall I say. So fill us in.
Yes, so back in the beginning of this year, January, February, I was at my maximum weight. I was at about 234 pounds, I think. And I was having trouble sleeping. I was having trouble doing any sort of real activity and just decided it was time to do something.
Okay.
So between January, February, I lost about 10 pounds. And I said, I'm doing this the way I've done it before, but I'm not going to be able to sustain it. Before, I've lost 20 or 30 pounds here and there, but I've never been able to keep it off.
Uh-huh.
So a friend mentioned on Google Plus something about an app called Lose It. And, it could be any other app. There's a dozen other ones out there, I'm sure, at least.
Yeah.
But what this does, it allows you to track the foods that you eat and the activities you do on your mobile device or on your desktop, laptop, basically any sort of internet-enabled device. It has a full dictionary of foods. Sometimes they're right, sometimes they're wrong. For the most part, they've been pretty accurate for me. And you can scan a barcode on like a box of food, or you can scan a barcode on a drink, or you can go in and say, I'm at McDonald's and this is what I'm going to order.
Okay.
And it will put that into the app and say, this is how many calories that is, this is how many you've eaten for the day. If you want to lose this much weight, you should only be eating this many calories per day and then exercising to make up whatever difference you go over.
Okay.
So I did that for, I guess it's been, what, almost 10 months now.
Okay.
And I am right now down about 80 pounds.
Wow.
And
That's
it's a
terrific.
whole total life change. You just have to constantly do it from now on forever. But once I get to a maintainable level, I'll actually get more calories that I can eat. So it will become a lot more sustainable. And really, the life change, the changing the way that I eat and the way that I treat food, it is definitely a sustainable model.
Twill, if I may use a technology analogy,
Mhm.
you've gone from a full-blown KDE body to a lightweight XFCE body,
Yeah, yeah.
and
I'm working my
it's
way down to an LXDE body,
all right. Hey, all
yeah,
right. Hey, listen, that's terrific.
lean and mean.
I usually around the holidays and around winter time up here in Ohio, when I can't go out, go for a walk, or go out and play, as I say, look, even I tend to put on weight. If
Hmm.
I gain 10 pounds, I feel blah. I can't imagine over that how much,
Yeah,
you must have felt. But congratulations. When I
thank
saw the video, I'm like, is that Twill, is that you? I'm like, but
you.
you look terrific. I'm sure you feel terrific, and I'm sure it's a much better lifestyle for you.
Oh
So,
yeah, should live
okay.
a little while longer.
Oh, I certainly hope so.
Yeah.
Anyway, great.
Mhm.
All right. Well, about a month ago or so, on one of the podcasts I did on the Linux distro community, we had Alan Pope, one of the developers for Ubuntu, terrific
Mhm.
fellow, and we talked about Ubuntu 13.10, which I just installed. If we have any beginners out there, you can check it out. Check it out at ubuntu.com. Just a quick tip: Ubuntu 13.10 is not an LTS release. In plain speak, meaning it may not be quite as bug-free as a LTS release, which would be 12.04. So if you are a complete beginner, unless you have a separate test machine, I would probably stick for now with Ubuntu 12.04, which is also downloadable from ubuntu.com. Anyway, Twill, we talked about Ubuntu, the past, present, and the future. My very first Linux distro exposure was Ubuntu 6.4, 6 point, I can't remember. And as a Windows XP user at the time, I thought, man, this thing is really, really fast. But at the time, let's be honest, it wasn't really quite ready for newbies. A lot of, yeah, right, a lot has changed. I love
Yes.
it. Yes, it is my default desktop of choice for myself. Now, we talked about the present, and of course they tried to merge or transition to the Ubuntu phone. I hate this. I'm sorry to say it did not succeed, but I hope they try it again. And we talked a little bit about the future, and the future for Ubuntu is really a convergence of technologies, meaning desktop, mobile, and really your lifestyle. But one of the topics of conversation, Twill, was the so-called Ubuntu 13.10. Are they spying on you?
Oh.
Yeah, with the integration with the online search, if you know
Hmm.
what I mean, with the what's it called, smart
Yeah,
scopes,
with
where you
the
can,
Amazon the store scopes. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So in other words, if you have this feature turned on, and I personally turn it off, I don't really need it. I don't feel like I'm spied upon. I could be wrong, but I don't feel like I'm spied upon. But I turn it off because it just makes my desktop run a little faster. But if you leave it on, when you type something in the dash, or as I call it, the start button, say you type in music, well, not only does it look up your music folder, but it goes online with anything related to music, whether it's on Amazon or Wikipedia. Hence, an extra search feature. I guess you could say based on convenience. I'm not really sure, but a lot of people think because of the tracking issue and the spying issue, they said it's just as bad as Windows. I am not quite there yet, especially when I can just shut the damn thing off. So, anyway, Twill, how do you feel about that?
And the really funny thing about that is, like you said, just as bad as Windows. On Windows 8, for example, when you go into the start menu and start searching, just like
Uh-huh.
you would in the Unity dash,
Uh-huh.
it searches online results.
Okay.
At the very least, Windows 8.1 does. I can't remember what Windows 8 does because I don't have it in front of me. But if I were to say, for example, go into the Windows 8 Metro menu or whatever they call it now,
Yeah.
Modern UI, and just
Yes.
start typing in
Yes.
Ubuntu, for example,
Okay.
it's going to go and give me online results.
I did not know that. Okay. Now, can
So
you
it gives me these things, results for Ubuntu download, and then it gives me all
ah,
sorts of documents and ubuntu.com/download things powered by Bing.
is it fairly smooth and quick and
Yeah,
zippy?
it's a pretty fluid experience. Um, but in the same way, like you were saying on Ubuntu,
Yeah.
getting those extra things in there, I don't think that the UI is quite there yet.
Oh, yeah.
The default scope that you see where everything's kind of jumbled in there together,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not easy to understand, I guess. So when you click on it and it just throws everything in there in one place, it just doesn't. I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but
Okay.
when you start typing in music, like you said, and you
Yeah.
get your
Yeah.
local music and then some remote music, and you didn't
Yeah.
really ask for that,
Right. Right.
it can be a little bit disheartening, or take you back a little bit, just because it's like I didn't want that. Why is that there?
Can you, this may sound like a duh question, can you shut that feature off?
Well, yeah, like you said, you can go in and turn on the privacy settings and say don't search Amazon. Now, were you asking about Windows? You mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean,
That
on
one I'm
Windows
not
8.
sure about.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've got a
Okay.
Windows 8 desktop here beside me. Let me see if I can go in there and do
Yeah.
something about it while we continue.
All right. Because
Maybe
I
it's under
haven't,
privacy.
all right, because I haven't really tested 8.1 yet.
Mhm.
I had it in my virtual machine, which I had to erase my system anyway. I guess I'll have to redo it. But I didn't, I mean, I can see where that can be a convenience feature, but it might be a little bit too much.
Right.
It,
Ah, there it is. Yeah, if you in Windows 8 and or 8.1 at least, probably 8 as well, in your
okay.
PC settings under
Yes.
search and apps, there's
Okay.
a use Bing to search online. So you can get
Ah,
search suggestions from Bing. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off because I find it kind of obnoxious. So
okay.
clear the search history, and I'm good to
Okay.
go.
Well, folks, there you go. If you feel, guess that the NSA is spying on you,
Yeah.
courtesy of whatever Windows or Ubuntu or conspiracy theory, just shut the bleeping thing off. It's that simple. Anyway,
The
but
funny thing about all that is if the NSA is spying on you, you've got something to be spied on about. For the majority of people, people are just not interesting enough for the
no,
NSA to be bothered about it
no.
unless you're doing something that is really incriminating or illegal.
Uh,
Why are they going to want to look at the porn that you're looking at? Why are they going to want to take a
uh,
look at this article that I just read about Sylvia Brown, this world famous psychic dying at age 77? They don't care that I'm looking at that.
right. Okay, I admit it. I'm building a Linux KDE nuclear bomb, but please don't say say anything. Yeah, I
Uh-oh.
mean, yeah, right. Yeah. So, uh, I think it's, I can understand. Look, I can understand some of the concerns, okay,
Hmm.
because you are going online, but don't you, isn't there a possibility to be tracked or you are tracked every time you go online in general? I'm
Well,
not
just
saying it's
every
right or
time you walk
wrong.
outside, there's a camera watching you.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's
Doesn't
right or
just have to be
wrong.
your computer.
That's the world that we live in, right? But anyway, folks, even in Windows 8, or I'm sorry, 8.1 at least, you can shut
Yeah.
that feature off. And in Ubuntu, going back to Ubuntu 13.04, I think they started in 13.04. Definitely in 13.10, I haven't just shut it off. So that was one of the main topics of 13.10, the so-called spyware thing. But generally
Well,
speaking,
actually, if
yeah,
you want to turn it completely off,
yeah.
there was a bit of controversy in the last few weeks about a website called fixubuntu.com,
Oh
where
yeah.
they were using some of Canonical's branding on the site, and that was the biggest thing they were arguing about. But if you go to that site at the very top, there's this string you can paste into the terminal that will
Okay.
completely disable it, no matter if you're on 12.10, 13.04, 13.10, or anything forward. It'll go in and actually make the changes to disable it and remove anything. Actually, I think it only removes apps on 12.10. I read through it real quickly earlier.
Okay.
So,
Okay. All
yeah.
right. Anyway,
Mhm.
Linux is all about freedom. So, freedom. So I guess you have the freedom to turn it on and to turn it off. So, but
Some
generally,
people find it really useful. I don't
yeah.
know.
No, I look probably around this time of year when you're shopping, maybe that could be very useful. I mean,
Right.
look, I have it turned off. Look, if I want to go on Amazon, I'll just go directly to Amazon. But that's just me. Um, well, speaking of Ubuntu 13.10, I know you also use Windows 8. Do you still do dual boot, or do you have separate machines?
It sort of depends on where I am and what I'm doing. When I'm at work, I'm primarily on Ubuntu 13.10. I also have Windows 8.1 on that machine, but I haven't booted it in probably 4 months. The
Wow.
only reason I've still got it on there is because we occasionally have WebEx type meetings that are only available on Windows.
Okay.
At home, like you were saying, I've got a separate machine, one for Windows, one for Linux, and actually I've got a laptop that dual boots.
Okay.
So, no matter where I am, I can have whichever OS is appropriate for the situation.
Right. I have found myself lately booting more into Ubuntu than I do into Windows 7. It's just one of those things. There's nothing wrong with Windows 7. In fact, and we had talked about this when my Ubuntu 12.04 crashed last week. It was Windows 7 that came to my rescue. Uh, but that being said, do you find yourself using Ubuntu more? I mean, like in your personal, I mean, like life at home, or not really more than Windows.
In the life at home, it's sort of a whatever machine I happen to be sitting at the
Okay,
time.
okay,
Um, uh, Total honesty, I've got the Windows machine hooked up to the bigger monitor, so if I'm watching media or something, I'm
oh,
probably doing it on my Windows machine.
okay,
In the last few months, actually the last month realistically, I've been doing an awful lot on Ubuntu simply because I've started working with the Ubuntu Reminders app team
okay.
to develop one of the Ubuntu core apps that are supposed to be coming out with Ubuntu 14.04.
So you feel comfortable using both Windows 8 and Ubuntu, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay. Uh, what's coming up with the next one, 14.04? Any big changes or just little tune-up, here and there?
I think the big push for 14.04 is to get the tablet interface nailed down.
Uh-huh.
Supposedly 14 for 13.10, it was all about the phone.
Okay.
I don't actually have a phone that I can test it on, unfortunately, so I can't really speak much to that.
Yeah.
But for 14.04, they're pushing for tablets, and I know like the Nexus 7 is supposed to be worked on pretty hard.
Okay.
Um, I don't know about the new Nexus 7, but I've got the 2012 Nexus 7 that I can test with, so
Okay.
I can keep an eye on that.
All right. So as far as the desktop version of 14.04, no major changes just to make it.
Uh, well, the initial plan I think was to try to get Mir to be the default display server for 14.04, but since it's a long-term support release, that almost certainly will not be happening.
Okay.
Um,
Will will uh, will Mir fix or attempt to fix the issues for some of us with video drivers that just aren't quite compatible or not really?
no, not in the slightest.
Okay. So what
I'm
is?
I'm I'm just sort of speaking out of turn there, but
Yeah.
video driver issues
Yeah.
are possibly going to become worse simply because
Oh boy.
the right now in Mir there's not. as far as I understand, there's not a whole lot in terms of proprietary driver support,
Okay.
which is kind of necessary for a lot of the closed hardware like the NVIDIAs and the
Yes.
AMD hardware.
Okay.
Uh, Whereas on X, they've got a very long-standing, list of drivers available for all different versions of X.
Okay.
So moving from one to the other, you're not going to have the same kind of driver support just yet. But the companies like NVIDIA have stepped forward and said that they want to move forward and they want to help.
Okay.
As to whether or not there will actually be proprietary drivers for Mir,
Okay.
I'm sure there will be at some point.
Okay. So
I,
you
I
better. All right.
I'm not going to say that I know if they're there or not. I haven't seen any yet.
So you're better off sticking with the standard Zorg drivers
Right.
for a beginner.
And
Okay.
that's the good thing. Once 1404 comes out, if they don't intend to go to Mir as the default, it's not going to become an issue for another on a long-term support release for another 2 years.
Okay.
Uh, for the early adopters like ourselves, or at least like
Right.
me, it
Okay.
will become an issue sooner. But
Well, I mean, I really don't play a lot of games or a lot of 3D games, so it sounds like unless you really have to play 3D games, the Zorg drivers really aren't an issue. This is true?
pretty much,
Okay.
if you're doing video editing, the Xorg drivers help, or the proprietary drivers help quite a bit as well.
Okay.
Because with the proprietary drivers, you can do certain things like NVIDIA has CUDA, which is a hardware acceleration
Okay.
for video or any sort of video encoding.
Okay.
Um, and that's helpful, but not available in the open source drivers.
Okay. I didn't notice when I had the ATI drivers installed. Obviously, when I was playing games, it helped. Well, it helped because I needed it.
Mhm.
But I didn't really notice when I was doing the Kdenlive Live video encoding and transcode. I didn't really notice any big difference when I had the ATI drivers versus the standard drivers. At least not in my system.
I think on the AMD side, it's
Yeah.
not the hardware acceleration option they've got may not be supported on Linux yet.
Gotcha.
NVIDIA specifically has one called CUDA. I cannot remember what the one for AMD is called off the top of my head.
So if I was to
Um,
buy another machine, I should probably look for something with NVIDIA card.
I've been all NVIDIA for a couple of years now,
Okay.
simply because of all the issues I had with AMD in the
Okay.
past. I've got an AMD card that I was using for a little while there. It's a Radeon 5750, and
Okay.
Linux support was just not great for me.
Okay.
Like
All
you've
right.
seen, its driver support's a little rough.
All right, folks. There's a little tip there for myself and Twill. However, Twill, I can just go out and buy an NVIDIA card and install it in my system, and then that would be just as fine, right? I could just bypass the internal AMD card, right?
You should be able to, yeah.
Okay. All right. All
Um,
right.
you
Okay.
you may have to go into your BIOS and disable it, but you should not have to do that. It should do it automatically.
Right.
The
Right. Okay.
unfortunate thing is for the people that have laptops that either have integrated AMD or
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. That
that's where it
that
becomes rough.
Right, right. Okay, so folks, if you want to do heavy 3D stuff and you want to use Linux in general, I would, like you said, probably stick with NVIDIA for now. For now. All right. Let's move on off Ubuntu and talk about the changes going on with the. Of course, you may have seen the various, shall I say, testimonials or comments concerning the merger of Google Plus and YouTube and the commenting changes of what's been going on. Man, I have never seen this. Has been all over the place. I'm not, let's just say it's a challenge getting used to it, but some of the comments, some of the videos, in fact, there was one video by a young lady and she made a song about Google you bleepity bleep, you know, you may have seen it. Uh, what do you think about all this?
Well, okay. I'm kind of a mixed mind about it. I think it has the potential to be an excellent change,
Yes.
but at the same time, the issues they were looking to address are not going to be addressed. They wanted the verified names and everybody to have the same name. It forced me to create a Google Plus profile for my twildottv account
Okay.
because I did not have one before because I used my
Okay.
personal account on Google Plus.
Okay.
In doing that, it said, "Do you want to keep your channel name as your
Okay.
Google Plus name?" Well,
Uh,
that sort of bypasses the entire point of
mm,
having Google Plus and having the verified names.
yeah.
Now, once it all gets sorted out,
Um,
I'm a hardcore Google Plus user. I mean,
okay.
I've got like, I don't know, 800,000 followers over there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a really nice place for me to be. When I share stuff out, I've always got people talking to me over there.
Nice.
Um, but in terms of integrating it into YouTube, it's going to be a
Um,
rough transition period.
uh, yeah, I'm I think I'm supporting this in the long haul.
Hmm.
Look, I personally have no problem with the integration of Google Plus and YouTube. I think Google Plus is great, and almost all the time, if somebody adds me, I just add them back automatically, hoping it's a nice, decent human being. And it's a great way to meet people and make friends. I mean, I don't have a problem with that. With this new commenting system, I have to get used to it because before on my Galaxy S4, which I absolutely love, and this is my smartphone of the year, folks, but that's another topic. Before I have like an email notification app. Okay, so I get, oh, it's from Twill or whatever on YouTube. I go to reply and I can't reply. It won't work. Or sometimes I have noticed that maybe you have on YouTube, I'll go to my video, I'll click reply, and the little pop-up says you are not allowed to post on this channel. I'm like, duh. And I'm not sure. Someone tried to explain today if the other person had something turned off or something. So that kind of threw me off. So it's been a challenge. Now, some of the things where you can leave an unlimited amount of commenting or characters in the comment,
Right.
that I'm not so sure. I mean, I understand before where, maybe what there was a limit of 300 or whatever, that was a little low, but now it's unlimited. Maybe it's too high, and it
Yeah.
probably is. I mean, someone wrote me something, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. Now there's no limit on commenting. Is that bad? Eddie wrote out like 5 million sentences. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Okay, okay, I get it. I get it. And then now you can leave links.
Right.
If they are useful links, terrific. But what if it's like inappropriate, porn and stuff?
Now, the good
Uh,
thing about that is there is a page on YouTube. I found out about this from one of the YouTubers that I follow.
uh-huh.
Um, if you go to youtube.com/comment_management,
Okay.
it will take you into your comment settings. And from
Okay.
there, you can say approved and banned users. You can have a blacklist if certain words come in. So, for example, if something starts with HTTP or if it has
Ah,
certain URLs in it, like if you don't want a competing website to be linked to in your comments, or if you don't want someone to link to websites at all, you can put these certain
okay. So it
yeah.
sounds like an enhanced filtering system.
Yeah, and what it does is everyone that comes in matching that gets held back for review, so you get to approve or deny it.
Sounds
And from there, you can
reasonable.
actually, on a user by user basis, mute or block or anything else like that. Uh, so it's kind of nice, but the little
So,
bit that I
yeah.
worked with it, it was blocking or
Okay.
it was holding back a lot of comments when I
Uh,
tried to do that.
so you think this is maybe still a work in progress?
Correct. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
the Google is working on it. There are some
Okay.
changes that are coming. I don't know the specifics, but I've seen a lot of other people that are affiliated with Google talking about things are upcoming, things are going to get better.
Okay.
They're tweaking it.
That's the impression I
Yeah.
got. I did a video with or a podcast with Spatry, and I think it was Matthew Moore, who's also a dual booter, and Spatry really doesn't like it. Matthew Moore, Matthew's somewhat in between.
Hmm.
I'm somewhere in between, but in the long run, I think I support it because I haven't finalized my conclusion in yet, and I will probably post this in a future video or maybe a future, TosCast with you or whoever wants to come on. But there's two sides to a story, and the one side of me says, "Man, this really sucks." But then there's the other side. Well, wait a minute, something had to be done, and let's not forget there are real people, real human beings who work hard trying to make YouTube a better clean place. Let's not forget that. So let's not kill the messenger. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, this doesn't quite work. And for me, it's a challenge because reply doesn't work sometimes. But I'm not going to scream and say, what are you guys? It is a work in progress. And look, some of my videos, you may or may not have noticed when I try to do an honest comparison between, various Linux and Windows 7, which I currently use, it's usually half and half. I get half the people say, dude, why are you using Linux? It sucks. No, it doesn't. Of course, the other half, why are you using Windows 7? It sucks. No, it doesn't. Now, if they say some things in Linux suck, like, sometimes video drivers or this and that, explain yourself, that's fine. Or in Windows, the problem is maintenance, defragmentation, anti-spyware, virus scanning, and all that good stuff, Twil. But explain it. But just to say, and some of the comments get very, shall I say, inhuman. Now, look, for me, it doesn't bother me personally. And when they start to attack the other commentators, that's where I draw the line. Even, when someone attacks me, I'm like, slow down. What exactly? This is a channel for beginners. Say something productive, or move on. But Twill, it doesn't always work. So of course I have to ban them. And I think this is what Google is trying to do, is trying to uh, control, eliminate somehow this wasteland, this cesspool of, shall we say, unproductive comments,
No,
if
I
that
think I
makes
think that's
sense.
absolutely right.
And so, I have to be patient, even though there are tweaking pains. And I know some people just absolutely don't like, change sometimes is difficult. And by the way, Google is not paying me to say this. I am not being sponsored or anything like that. I'm just telling you how I feel as a dual booter, what I think is going on. Now, look, we are we are on the outside speculating, trying to look in. We don't know the whole story, do we?
Right.
I'm not necessarily defending them, but there are two sides to a story. That's all I'm trying to say on this matter here. And I'll
Mhm.
probably have more to say on this later. But I still enjoy Google Plus. Uh, I understand that some people, gee, now I'm forced to sign up a Google Plus account, where before I could say something, even if it was something productive on YouTube. Now you can't, because you need Google Plus.
Mhm.
I understand. I don't know, if you don't like it, then move on and go to another website or something. Maybe not, that may not be a fair answer, Twill, but look, it is what it is. So
Yeah.
anyway, that's my take on that topic there. All right. Fill us in on what's coming up for you on your channel. You said something like, even though you're known as This Week in Linux, you're not necessarily just all Linux, which I kind of felt you never were just all that. But fill us
Right.
in of what you have in plan for the future.
As far as moving forward, the next few weeks, few months, I don't know exactly how things are going to go. I know, I have an awful lot of devices in hand that I need to review just to
Okay.
get the knowledge out there and to get it out of my head and out of my backlog.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, but additionally, I'm going to mix in the normal news videos that I've been doing
yeah,
up until this point. When I made the transition from This Week in Linux to twil.tv,
yeah.
I kept that one core piece, that This Week in Linux news,
Right.
and it just became harder and harder to do it because it was like, there's all this Linux news. I'm just not excited to talk about it.
Yeah,
And if you're
yeah.
not excited about it and you're not passionate about it, you're not going to have fun making the video, and the video is going to be bad.
Right.
So what I'm proposing was to incorporate other topics into the news videos. So, talk about, new things coming out from Microsoft, or coming out from Apple or Google, or HP, or any other sort of tech
Yeah.
company, which actually falls really well in line with what's going to be coming up in January. I'm going to CES again this year, and I'm going to have
Cool.
a lot of video content coming out
Nice.
about new products and new
Nice.
companies and innovations and things like that. So to be able to integrate all of those new sort of tech ideas and
Right.
all the news around those things in
Right.
with the Linux news as well, because that's one
Right.
piece that a lot of other news outlets do tend to leave out.
Right.
I think that's something where I'll be a little more happy with what I'm doing.
I would love to attend that show in Vegas, but I need an
Hmm.
invitation to it. Can you, sneak me in maybe?
You need an invitation?
I think to the one in Vegas, don't you?
No, I think
To
you just
the
have to buy a ticket. I got a free press ticket for going.
Okay, I thought before you could only get in if you had if you
That's probably E3.
oh, was that what it is? Okay,
Yeah.
so that's the one.
CES is it's mainly a press show, but there's a lot of consumers that come along as well. I think it costs like $100 to get in though.
Okay, no, that's fine. I thought maybe that's the one. I'm thinking of the one in Las Vegas. I mean the one in LA. Is that the one I'm thinking
Maybe,
of? There's
maybe
two of them. This
E3 was
Yeah,
the gaming show,
right. Maybe
and
that's the one. Okay, okay,
it used to be all open, and then I think they made it press only, and then they may have
okay,
opened it back up in the last few years.
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But
Yeah,
yeah, but,
I have seen bits and pieces of that show in
mhm.
Las Vegas. It's amazing. It's like a multi-day. I mean, you could literally walk from one end to the other end and not see everything or test
Oh,
everything. So,
it's over the course of like 4 buildings and over an
yeah.
entire week. So I'm
Okay.
going in on Sunday and I'm leaving
Okay.
on Friday.
Okay.
And
Cool.
I'm going to be staying in one hotel. There's a press day events in the hotel right next to us, and then down the road and three different buildings. It's such a huge event. Well, there's no way you can canvas all of it. So we've got two guys from XDA that are going. I'm going
Cool.
to be doing a lot of filming. The other guy's going to be doing a lot of filming.
Nice.
So between all of that, we're going to get a lot of tech stuff covered. And
Excellent.
additionally, like I told you, I'm working on the Ubuntu Reminders app.
Okay.
So I'm going to try to start throwing in some regular updates just as to where we stand with that app in terms of
Okay.
video.
Yeah.
We had a hangout on air today where we discussed the future of the app and some design changes that we're working on,
Okay.
and they said, somebody really needs to put out a blog post about this, and it got me thinking, it
Okay.
really wouldn't hurt to just make a regular video about it, talking about where it is and what it does, and just give a quick demo of it.
Okay. Huh.
So
Okay. Cool. No,
some more stuff to
that's
do. That's the
sounds
big
like
thing. Just make videos that are interesting to me
right.
and make me happy, and if the viewers like it, that's awesome.
Look, this is no secret. The final product, folks, when you see a final video, it looks easy, but it's not. It can take sometimes hours, sometimes all day. Sometimes if your system crashes like mine, it's multiple days. But I have found, at least when it comes to doing news, I tried doing the news, general news, Windows, Linux, whatever, on my own, and you know, it's not the same when you have a partner. So obviously,
Hmm.
me and Spatry started this Sinner, the Sunday Night News and Nonsense Report, where we mix in real news and real nonsense news, and it's less of a chore. You know what I mean? It's more of
Hmm.
a fun, almost like a vaudeville act. I
Yeah.
mean, for lack of a better term, but it's more enjoyable, and you do get relevant information. Maybe not
Hmm.
on the nonsense side because it is nonsense, but all the nonsense stuff I say, it is for real. It's picked off the headlines. It just, most people don't think about it till they hear. I'm like, what? Anyway, yeah, doing
And
new
that's sort of the
stuff.
biggest
Yeah,
thing is coming up with a format that you can be happy with, something where you're having fun making the video. If you're not having fun doing it,
right,
it's not going to be that great.
right. We try to keep these newscasts around 10 to 15 minutes, just a zip, zip, zip. But you know what? Sometimes we just get on a roll. There is so much funny content that we could literally go over an hour. And maybe with the holidays come, maybe we'll have like a 1 hour special and have multiple guests like yourself on, and maybe Quids up and whoever, and just have fun with this. But look, if you want to see straight news, just watch Brian Williams and 6:30 News or whatever. I have nothing against the 6:30 News report, but for me, for technology news in general, unless it's really short, just a quick 5 minute, here's what's going on. Once you go longer than that, 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, if it is not news slash entertaining, people are just going to snooze. I hate to say
Hmm.
it, but because they can read it on their own. Why do they need you? You, right? Okay,
Yeah.
but
Well, and
that's
in
all.
some
Yeah,
instances, there are some news shows that are longer than that, and it's more a discussion and interaction, kind of like we're having right now,
right,
that are going longer than 5 to 10 minutes. But
right,
you're right. In terms of YouTube and the attention span,
right,
5 minutes is a good place to be.
right. But
There's always going to be that really
yeah,
hardcore devoted audience that
right,
wants the
right,
longer content, but
right, right. No, I
to
mean,
yeah.
you are absolutely correct. But see, what we're doing now, it's not every night. I mean, we haven't spoken what 2, 3 months. Man, time
Yeah,
flies.
it's something like
So
June or July, I
So
think.
we have 3 months of catching up. It isn't like catching up for the last 24 hours. It's like it's not the same. There are informational Linux podcasts. There's one, I won't mention the name, but it's I mean it's good, but it's over an hour and a half. And I'm like, really, guys? I usually fast forward it to the last 40 minutes to get to the core of the podcast. It's like, it starts off, hey, what's up? Well, I was doing this. And it's like, do I really need to hear stuff like, you washed your clothes, you graduated, and just get to the core of the conversation. and this is a weekly podcast that they do. I'm not trying to bash anybody, but I guess the point is people's attention span nowadays, unless you get their attention like within 5 minutes, they're just going to go to something else, whether it's
Right.
good or bad. That's how it is. So
Well, and YouTube in their creator's handbook actually says something to the effect of if you don't grab the attention within the first, I think it's 10 to 15 seconds,
yes,
they're going to click away.
yes,
So you've got to throw something out there. That's why so many YouTubers will put a little snippet of something amusing that happens later in the video right at the beginning.
right, right,
So,
right,
you'll see that again later, but this just lets you know that's
right,
coming.
right. Um, when I was at UCF at the University of Central Florida down in Orlando, by the way, their football team, somebody said is 15 in the nation. Congratulations, UCF. I studied screenwriting, movie scripts writing, and I was told that if you write a movie script and you're trying to, find someone to take a look at it or to buy it or to option it, if you cannot get that person's attention in the first 10 pages or less, basically, Twill, one page is 1 minute of a movie. I mean, that's like a general, thing.
Right.
But if you cannot write something intriguing in less than 10 minutes, you're finished. The TV series that just finished, Breaking Bad, they had a few actors on one of the talk shows, and one of the actors says, "I got sucked on the first page. There was something about it how it just sucked you in." But same thing with podcasting or videos. You need to get to the core of the matter immediately, and then from there, just go ahead and expand. But that's
Right.
my opinion. So, all right.
Mhm.
Twill, that's all I have for this, unless you needed to get something off your chest or to add something else,
No, I feel pretty good.
cool. All right. Well, folks, thank you for watching, for listening, and maybe watch later to this podcast between myself, Total West Today, and Twill from This Week in Linux and other stuff in the week, for Twill, not just Linux, but Windows and devices you'll be testing and reporting on and stuff. And of course, they can catch you on twildottv. You can catch us also on Google Plus. I have a Twitter page. I don't really follow it that much. I have a Facebook page. Man, you know what? It's just finding time to do it all. But we are
Right.
here. If you have any suggestions or comments for myself or Twill, feel free to leave a suggestion or comment. We both use Windows and Linux, so feel free to ask questions on either or, and we'll try to get an answer to you. But at this time, I guess we will sign off. Thank you so much for joining me again. You look terrific. Keep it up. It's the best thing that you can do is to improve your lifestyle. I mean, no question about it. So.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
All right. And as I always say, we will catch all of you sometime in the future. Bye bye.